Hi folks, Dave, the Honest Audiophile. This is the Kiwi Ears KE4, and these are my Honest Audiophile impressions. I want to thank my supporters through Patreon, YouTube memberships, and one-time gifts for helping to purchase the Kiwi Ears KE4. I do greatly appreciate all that is given to the channel and the support that you provide. Thank you to everybody. You all rock. Alright, so the Kiwi Ears KE4, this will set you back $200 from your bank account. It is a hybrid that has dual or two dynamic drivers and two balanced armatures. The balanced armatures are a Knowles RAD 33518 and then a customized RAB 32257. It's 28 ohms of impedance, 102 decibels of sensitivity, and it comes in this very little itty bitty box. Now this is very, very similar to all other Kiwi Ears boxing experiences. You get a picture on the front, a little bit of information, some specs on the back and side, and then when you open it up, you have a little black box. You have an area for the IEMs to sit, and then when you lift that off, you have an area for a carrying case. That's it. They do not go into expensive, big, luxurious type of unboxing experiences. They give you this nice little carrying case. It says Kiwi Ears on it. It's black, hard shell, very small. Should fit in a pocket or a bag very easily and protect your KE4. When you open it up, you have room for the KE4 and its cable, and then the tips that are provided. They also provide some extra filters for your nozzle in case they fall out. And then you get one set of small, medium, and large silicone tips. Those are the only tips that they provide, but they are really nice tips. They are, I believe they call them the Flexi tip. Silicone and pretty standard grape or olive shape to them. A little bit on the wider bore, and then as you can see, there's a little bit of vent holes. And then you get the KE4. Let's talk about the cable first. The cable is very similar to the cable that is provided on the Quintet and the Quartet. And overall, it's not a bad cable. I do wish I had a little bit stronger of ear hooks. They do tend to flop just a little bit, but not too bad. Nice and thin. Connects with a 2-pin, so if you want, you can swap this cable out very easily. Very, very nice and soft, well controlled. Has a cinch which stays in place. And then it terminates into a straight 3.5 millimeter. Overall, I like the cable, nice and lightweight. I do wish that it had just a little bit better tension as mentioned. Alright, so the KE4 themselves, they're very well built. And they are a little bit on the chunky side, and they do have a little bit of heft to them. Faceplates have a little bit of branding and are very much fingerprint magnets, very glossy, very shiny. There is a vent. And then as you can see, there's a very nice wing and a pretty aggressive nozzle and fairly long length. I believe they said that the nozzle width is 6 millimeters. Overall, very well built and nice looking. How do they fit? So the Kiwi Ears KE4 just fits right in my ears. They just snug right in. It's like they were made for my ears. That wingtip just fits right into the right spot. And then that length with those nozzles just kind of goes in and inserts and gives me a really good seal. I have no issues whatsoever with comfort. I can wear these for hours upon hours with no discomfort at all. Isolation of outside noises is pretty decent. We're probably somewhere about 66% or so of outside noises being blocked. They muffle conversations quite a bit, and louder vehicles when I was outside were very muffled and harder to hear. And overall, they do a good job of putting you kind of in your own place. The KE4 is pretty easy to drive. 28 ohms, of impedance and 102 decibels sensitivity. I was able to drive them very easily with dongles, DAPs, and desktop with no problems. On desktop, even with some of the devices that have a little bit higher output impedance, I didn't have any issues with it hissing or any distortions of any of that type of thing. So they are very happy on whatever they are being presented with to play. I had no problems with finding a source to get them loud, and didn't take much on the volume knob. The thing that I found interesting was that they do reveal differences in sources very well, and I preferred them on 3 certain dongles, and it was more of a neutral leaning dongle. So the first one that I was really impressed with how it sounded was the Periodic Audio Rhodium. This thing sounds fantastic paired with the KE4, and I highly recommend this pairing if you have a Periodic Audio Rhodium. Very neutral, very natural sounding, and it brought out the presentation of the KE4 very well. And then the next one is the Hibby FC3. I found that the FC3, being a little bit cold and neutral leaning, also brought out a lot of the extra abilities of the KE4 and kept it very neutral and natural sounding. And then the other one is Kiwi Ears Allegra Mini. I found that the Allegra Mini was my favorite pairing. This thing did a phenomenal job of keeping everything neutral, natural, and also giving a very nice, spacious soundstage. And I was very, very pleased with all 3 of those dongles. They all impressed me. Now, that's not to say other dongles won't do a good job, but those 3 stood out for me. The Kiwi Ears KE4 is not picky on sources. As mentioned, it will reveal differences, whether you have a warmer source or a more neutral source or something that's a little bit colder, more analytical leaning, clinical sounding. It's going to reveal all those differences. The Kiwi Ears KE4. How does it sound? So I found that the Kiwi Ears KE4 has a bass that is nicely extended into the sub bass. There's good rumble, nice rumble, and you can really kind of when it's called upon. And then the mid bass has nice impact, nice punch, nice slam. Upper bass also has a little bit of impact and slam. There is a little bit extra bit of authority in the KE4, but it stays well controlled and it minds its own place. So it doesn't always be present only when it's called upon in the track, but when it is called upon, it hits and it punches and it slams and it kicks and it does all the things that you want, and it has nice rumble and grumble. There's a decent amount of texture as well, and I found that's a very engaging bass with control, and it extends very nicely. But yet at the same time, it doesn't bleed into the lower mids region. There is a lot of emphasis in the bass, but it's well controlled and has nice authority and attack and decay. Everything kind of is doing what it's supposed to do when called upon, but yet at the same time, it's adding a little bit extra at the same time. It's kind of going above and beyond. Now, that's not to say that this is a bass heads type of IEM. It will kind of bring some of that there, but it's not always there. And this is not to say that it's a true neutral bass either, as it does add in just a little bit extra to the presentation. But overall, the tone and timbre of the bass is very natural and accurate. And I also found that it's very detailed and resolving, and it does everything that you would want in a bass while staying under control. The mids have a nice open airiness, organic presentation to them. Everything sounds natural and accurate, and they have a nice amount of space for each instrument and vocalist to reside and have their own little place. Nothing is fighting for position. Nothing is trying to get attention from another. They all are cohesively playing together. And as mentioned, the upper bass and the lower mids play very well together. The bass is not impeding in on the mids, and the mids aren't getting affected by the more prominent sounding of bass. Overall, I found that the mids have nice tonality, very natural and accurate with instrument reproduction, and the upper mids regions going from 1K, 3K, and then upward and beyond is very well controlled. There's not too much elevation there. It's not forward, it's not shouty, and it's not trying to be dominant. Overall, I found that the mids have a very even and cohesive, balanced presentation. Going into the treble extends very nicely, and there's a lot of air and space throughout. There's also very good tonality, just like the mids and the bass. Everything sounds very natural and accurate, and it has nice details and resolution as well. Overall, I found that the treble has enough crispness, enough edge, enough bite. At times, there were moments when I wish I had just a little bit more, but for the most part, I found that the KE4 was very energetic and very sparkly and very pleasurable and engaging, but yet at the same time was not over exuberant, was not getting into those moments of hotness and having too much brightness in them. Overall, I found that the upper mids and lower treble regions worked together very well to stay controlled and to be defined in that area that tends to have sibilance and harshness and hotness and brightness and all of that area from about 5 to 8K is very well controlled on the KE4. And then as you go past that, it extends nicely and stays very balanced and cohesive without being too fatiguing and being too much. At times it can be a little bit on the lackadaisical side, and I wish that there was just a little bit more. Going into the soundstage of the KE4 has a nice natural presentation. It's not going to wow you with this big, huge width, and it's not going to artificially try to make everything sound wide. It does a good job of portraying different sizes of venues, whether it's a small, cozy, comfy, to a regular, normal, average, medium, large, and grand. If something gets big and grand, it's going to reveal that. If it gets really small and tight, it's going to get that. Overall, it does a really good job of portraying different venues in a very natural way. And then the depth is also very good. You can look into the stage very well, and you can dissect it, and it has really good layering. The KE4 does a really good job of keeping everything separated and allowing them to move in between, around, and about. And then imaging of the stage is also very well. Things track across the stage from side to side. You can lock on and you can follow them as they move, as they change, as they swap. And it does a good job in that. It's pretty close to being precise and laser locked. It does a good job of going, it's right in here. It's a very small, tight area. It's not exactly precise, but you're going to know it's right there, and it's going to move things along. As far as detail retrieval and resolution, the KE4 is very good, especially for its price point. You're not going to miss anything. And in fact, I had moments of, wow, I don't normally hear that, especially in a $200 price point. And I was rather impressed at how much information is provided and then how well it resolves it. It's very refined, defined, and focused, and you can really pick apart a stage. You can pick apart a track with the KE4. Tone and timbre is very nicely done. It has a nice fullness to them. There's nice body to them, especially in the mids and in the treble. I do wish that at times there was a little bit more of a lateness to the treble, but it was few and far between. And I do also wish that there was just a little bit more of a crispness and a little bit more of a bite and an edge at times also in the treble, as at times it was a little bit on the laid back side. But as far as tone and timbre, very natural and accurate for all instruments and vocalists. So overall, I really do enjoy the Kiwi Ears KE4. I think it's a phenomenal IEM, especially in $200 price point, and it's a sound signature that you do not hear very much, being very neutral and natural. But how does it compare to a couple other IEMs? So the most obvious one for me was, how does it compare to the Kiwi Ears Quintet? And the Quintet has a little bit more of a sparkly, energetic top end, and it's a little bit more emphatic sounding. It's a little bit more dynamic sounding. It's not quite as neutral leaning as the KE4. So if you would think that the KE4 was going to be a little too boring for you, maybe a little bit too lackadaisical, the Quintet might be where you want to go, and it's going to add in a little bit more zippiness. But there are a couple of things that the Quintet doesn't do quite as well, and that is that it doesn't quite have the same tone and timbre. The KE4 is more accurate and natural sounding when it comes to tone and timbre. The Quintet does have a little bit of metallicism at times, especially in the uppers when it comes to timbre. And then also the elevation of the mids is a little bit more forward, and it's a little bit more forthright in its presentation as well. Detail retrieval and resolution are similar, but I do think that the KE4 has a slight edge in that regard. And if you're thinking of using the KE4 as a stage monitor, and you are thinking of using it as your daily driver, it'll do both, and it'll do both very well, even if you do have to take note of the bass being a little bit more emphatic and being a little bit more boosted than neutral. But there is another IEM that I would recommend to be used in the stage monitors over the KE4, and that is the Tanchjim Kara. And I think the Tanchjim Kara has a little bit more of a neutral lean to it, and it is a little bit more of a accurate presentation when it comes to how the bass and the mids and the treble all play together. It is a little bit more neutral leaning, but it doesn't quite have that fun side, and the Kara isn't quite as much of an all-arounder listen as the KE4. Detail retrieval and resolution are very similar between the two. I do think that the Kara does slightly better when it comes to imaging and depth and layering. As far as tone and timbre, it's pretty up in the air. The KE4 may be slightly a little bit better, as it has a little bit more body and a little bit more of a natural note weight than the Kara, as the Kara is going to be a little bit more of a lightweight and slightly a little bit more airy in its presentation. So it kind of depends on what you're looking for. But I do think that the Kara is more of the stage monitor versus the KE4. And the KE4 is more of the all-arounder, but can be used as a stage monitor when it comes to comparing the Kara. So the Kiwi Ears KE4. Yep, I like this. I like this tuning a whole lot. This fits right into my preference sound signature, and it is a very balanced, very cohesive, neutral leaning with a little bit of bass boost and a natural tone and timbre with very good details and resolution, accurate tone and timbre, and a very, very nice sound stage that is natural in its presentation of sizes, of venues, and also does a good job with depth and layering and imaging. So the Kiwi Ears KE4. Yep, I like this. I like this a lot. Highly recommend it. If you're interested in an IEM that can be used as all-arounder or used as stage monitor, check out the Kiwi Ears KE4. It's been Dave, the Honest Audiophile. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Speaking of next video, somewhere on screen, subscription links, notification bells. If you haven't already, check those off. Don't forget to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to the video. Check out all the links down below. There's all kinds of information regarding how you can contact channel, follow channel, support channel. Speaking of support and channel, I want to thank my supporters through Patreon and YouTube memberships and one-time gifts. Thank you very much for all that you provide to the channel. It's much appreciated. If you're interested in supporting the channel, you can do it with one-time gifts, PayPal, Venmo, and also YouTube, or you can do it through monthly subscriptions with Patreon and YouTube memberships. With the monthly subscriptions, you can also get access to other benefits like videos early and all sorts of things. Another reminder that my Discord server is open to the public. Check out the link down below and you can join my Discord server. And then check out all the other links down below. There's all kinds of information down there regarding how you can contact channel, follow channel, support channel. All that kind of stuff is listed down below, along with gear rankings, music rankings, and all kinds of other things. So check out those links. And lastly, don't forget to enjoy the music and that honesty is the best policy.